Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on the video if you are new. Today we're going to talk about Jestermaxxing and just a whole load of things. So as I've learned during my internet deep dives, basically men just add the word maxing to everything. We've had looks maxing and I did my looks maxing video, and as I was kind of on my deep dive, I found Jestermaxxing and I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is Jestermaxxing? How can we apply it to a female dynamic? Jestermaxxing is an internet slang term describing the behaviour of acting overly goofy, entertaining or funny around women to compensate for a perceived lack of conventional attractiveness, wealth or status. Originating from looksmaxing and incel communities, the strategy carries the risk of becoming the butt of the jokes and losing respect. So from what I've seen of the online male communities, it's a derogatory term. Men are told by other men not to be the jester max. And obviously it comes from being the court jester, of being the person in medieval society that would entertain the king. Their whole job would be to entertain the king, and that's how they would get their status. And sometimes men do tap into this. Even a few weeks ago, I was at a family gathering and there was this man that was, I don't know how old he was, in his 40s or 50s, and he was Jestermaxxing, and I could pick up on that, and I was like, just let him do his thing. But it's seen as something derogatory, and men do not want to be this. And maybe now I should bring attention to my t-shirt. Well, it's actually a night dress, but it's the loudest thing in my wardrobe. I thought, what could I wear for this video? And then I saw this flamingo night dress and thought, okay, looks like you're wearing that. But men in these online communities are told not to be the Jestermax. They are told to looksmax above Jestermaxxing. Jestermaxxing is seen as a low grade form of trying to get a female. I do feel sorry for some of these men because some of them are generally, I don't want to say deluded, but maybe the kinder term would be misguided. I see so many people concentrating on the distance between their eyeballs, fixated on how the shape of their chin, how masculine is their chin. The thing is, for women, okay, I can't speak for all women, for me, being funny is up there of one of the top one or two things I am looking for in a man. I do not want to be with a man that has no personality. I do not want to be with a man that could not make me laugh. I think these men, they're just picking women on how they look, and they're not thinking you can't have sex with someone 24 hours a day. There has to be something else that attracts you to this woman. What do these men do when their girlfriend is on their period? And I thought, oh, that's probably why they have multiple women. They have multiple women because they need to be constantly having sex. The thought of them maybe not having sex for one day because their girlfriend is on their period and cramping is just too much for them to think about. These are men that have, I would say, an overactive sexual desire, and they can't just have one goddamn minute where they're not having sex. This is the thing. Men say Jestermaxxing doesn't work. And definitely what I've noticed online is that men only really care about how they're perceived by other men. They don't care about how other women perceive them. They care about, does a man find me attractive? Does my jacked up body seek the approval of other men? It's not even what women like. If you ask women on the whole, what do you like? They like a man that is in shape but not insanely jacked. People don't believe my stories anyway. I did date someone that was a runner. He was very athletic and he had an incredibly low body fat percentage. Just to cuddle him was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable cuddling someone with such a lean body fat percentage. Most women like a man that is in shape and works out, but is not really, really lean. They tend to prefer someone that's maybe has a bit extra body fat. And again, I'm trying to not talk for all women. It's my personal preference. But what I see online is just absolutely crazy. This whole looks maxing, Jestermaxxing, men are just going around things the wrong way. And I get it. It's because we've moved over into an economy of what can you do for me? What can you give me? And I'm going to talk about this more in another video that I'm saving. But both males and females have moved over into this economy of what can you give to me? How can you improve my life? Whereas before, I think people just used to accept and couple up and have children. But now there seems to be this real deep focus of what can you give to me? How can you improve my life? And it's not just the females, the men think this exactly the same. And oh boy, I've gone on a tangent again. Regulars will be used to this. But I want to talk about how being funny as a woman does not work on men. Before, it used to be a man would just be enraptured with female beauty and their personality. Now everything's changed. The optics are different. A lady on one of my previous videos commented that men pick their partners based on the approval of other men. And when I read that, I thought, yeah, she is so right. Men, if they are in the public eye, pick for optics. They pick for the optics of how they're perceived. They pick their women based on the brand. They pick their women based on what can you give me? How can you serve me? And this is why you'll get men that watch my videos. They think I'm funny. They think, oh, she's really interesting and good to be around. But the optics don't fit. The optics don't fit if they chose me. The optics wouldn't fit because I wouldn't fit into that archetype of being the skinny people pleaser woman that would do everything for them, that would devote their whole life to them. I don't fit into that category. I wouldn't fulfill the optics of what they need in a female. So I, on the whole, don't get chosen by men because I don't fit that kind of malleable people pleaser type, which sadly alphas tend to pick. And this is why, I say on my channel, if you want money, the only way is to make your own money, because alpha males want people pleasers. They want people pleasers that will help build their brand. They don't want women with their own opinions. On the whole, men are sadly afraid and scared of a outspoken woman. For a lot of men, they do not want an outspoken woman. For a lot of men, they are sadly repelled by a woman that voices their opinion. And it's not that it's because they think the women are unattractive. I think it's because they're generally afraid and scared of these women. And we've definitely seen in history how when women are vocal and powerful, men tend to push that down. And it's because they're afraid. They're afraid that an outspoken woman will make all the females rise up. They'll go and live off in a commune somewhere, and the men will be without females. The fact is that females generally do better alone than men. If you think of, there's so many memes of the single sad cat lady. Take me out of this equation. But most single women do absolutely fine. It's the men that struggle. And that's why they are afraid of the powerful woman that stands up and has a voice. That's why a lot of men aren't drawn to these women. Even though they find them physically attractive, they're afraid of them. They're intimidated by them. They're scared of them. That's why they don't pick them. And I think that's why they don't pick me. They think she's off doing her own thing. She don't need me. She makes her own money. She don't need me financially. This is what they think. And they think, I'm not going to pick someone like her. I'm going to pick someone that needs me. I'm going to pick someone that needs me financially. I'm going to pick someone that will help build my brand. I'm going to pick a people pleaser. I'm not going to pick a female that has her own brand. I'm going to pick a people pleaser that will do whatever I want. I will overwork them. And then what happens? These women get traded in. These women devote their whole lives to these men and they get traded in at 40. In the long run, if you spend your whole life devoting yourself to a man, they lose respect for you. That's what they think they want, but they ultimately lose respect for you because they see you as a pushover. I thought of this quote the other day that I made up, and it's partly because of my situation I'm in, is that everyone gets bored of everything in the end. And I think that's because when I was working, I got bored of working, and then when you're not working, you get bored of not working. Everyone gets bored of everything in the end. I just want to say to these women, wake up. I just want to say to these women, wake up. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time helping a man build his brand when ultimately he will trade you in. Men aren't infallible. They aren't infallible to making mistakes. They aren't infallible to falling out of love with you. I mean, I know I'm avoidant and I speak from an avoidant lens, and my OG subscribers know that. You know I speak from an avoidant lens. But sometimes I feel that men just generally do not like funny, confident women. Sometimes I think men just want to pick the people pleaser. I just think it's because we've moved over into the society of what can you do for me? Just being yourself, just being your happy, bubbly self is not enough for men. And that's why I used to watch when I was younger all the rom-coms like 10 Things I Hate About You and 500 Days of Summer. And it was all these quirky characters that these men fell in love with. So when I grew up, I assumed that, oh, if I'm just my quirky, bubbly self, men will like me. And then I realised that wasn't true. Being myself and quirky was not enough. But being funny for a female is not enough. And that's why Jestermaxxing doesn't work for females. Being funny is not enough to get you in the door. I don't want to make this really red pill, but sadly, a lot of women are wasting so much money in retreats when I'm giving you tough love here as a female. A lot of them would be better off literally just paying for a gym membership. It would be cheaper. That's how the world works. And generally, paying for a gym membership, maybe £50 a month, is going to be a better investment than wasting your time going on all these retreats, wasting your time going on all these love retreats, when that's not what men care about. Men care about what you look like over your personality. And I don't want to be the bearer of this news. I wanted to be the person that said, look at me, I'm overweight and I found love. But that is not how the world works. And I wish someone had said that to me in a way that wasn't misogynistic. I wish someone had said to me that when I was younger. Sadly, a lot of men just want a skinny female that is a people pleaser. And that is all the way up. That is from people with no money, people with money. That's how men work. Men sadly have a physical preference for in-shape women. And that is sadly how the world works. It's the uncomfortable truth. I swear I made that term up, and then I swear it went all around the internet. I swear I literally made that term up, but hey, you can have it. I've got so many ideas, I don't care. It is the uncomfortable truth. It's the uncomfortable truth no one will tell you. It's why Jestermaxxing does not work for females. Being funny doesn't get you in the door with men. Being quirky, being goofy does not work on men. Men sadly only go on looks, and that is a lesson I had to learn. And it's sad. It's sad that that is the only way I can get my foot in the door, is by changing who I am, by changing my whole identity. And it's because that's how people perceive you. They look at you and they make judgments. But this is why I think it's sad for men, because generally women love funny men. And men telling other men not to Jestermaxx, maybe in terms of Jestermaxx for other men, I agree with that. I agree, don't go around just trying to be funny to make other men like you. But women generally love funny men. Like I said before, for me, funny is one of the top qualities up there. I can't imagine being married to someone without a personality. If the man could not make me laugh, I generally don't know why I'd marry him. Because how are you going to get through the really tough parts in life when you need a bit of sense of humour? You're going to have to need someone that cheers you up, that makes you laugh. It can't just all be about looks. And then before, for women, just being funny and quirky was enough. It was enough to just be a good, sweet, kind person that was quirky and funny. But now the goalposts have changed. Now everything is online. We're all competing against each other. Women are drawn more into appearance because we know we're competing for the men. And anyone that is not attractive is just labelled mid and remains single. If you're just funny and cute and sweet, forget it. That's not enough these days. You have to kind of start playing the game, and it's just sad. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye. Oh, I didn't say love you. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.